Hello, thank you for joining us. This is the University of San Diego Cyber Cloud Team 1 capstone project. In this project, we covered a case study for the fictional company Design World.
Over this past semester, we've explored a case study following Design World, a remote software and design company that we were contracted to provide security consulting to. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to explore our methodology, namely the why, regarding our choice of tools, templates, requirements, and decisions we made throughout the capstone project, along with our lessons learned along the way. Throughout tonight's presentation, we will discuss scenario overview and assumptions, system requirements, initial vulnerability assessment and penetration test results, system hardening plan and our project change request, system hardening process and report, post-hardening vulnerability assessment and penetration test results, development and implementation of our information system security plan for Design World, a vignette into a real-world WISP project, and lessons learned. I take this opportunity to introduce the team members of USD Cyber Cloud Team 1. We have Jessica Eierman, our team leader and editor, Tony Park, our network engineer, graphic designer, Pei Say, cybersecurity engineer, and then I am Hayden Lawson, also one of the cybersecurity engineers for the team.
Scenario overview. USD Cyber Cloud Team 1 was contracted by Design World to provide security consulting services culminating in the design and implementation of an information system security plan compliant with NIST SP 800-171 and ISO/IEC 27000. Scenario design. Design World is a multinational engineering and design firm specializing in designing artistic structural support systems whose leadership is concerned with the potential pirating of intellectual property. It is a fully remote organization composed of the merger of three small firms, 800 plus employees concentrated in San Diego, Brazil, and Hong Kong. Employees work with a private cloud environment specifically to each region. The CEO of Design World contract USD Cyber Cloud Team 1 to develop and deliver solution designed to account for the review, evaluation, test, and documentation of Design World system. Scenario assumptions. All Design World systems are in a private cloud operated by a small US company in 3 worldwide regions. The hardware is virtual Intel-based systems utilizing a combination of Windows and Linux operating systems. All access is controlled by VPN access and cloud access. And all users access is through Design World assets through Active Directory. All communication between sites is proprietary. All employees work remotely. All employees were given VPN access that they were required to use. The company is broken into 4 functional areas: design, engineering, marketing, business management, and all system design operating instructions and guidelines were given out over Zoom meetings with the designers. For the system requirements section, USD Cyber Cloud Team 1 used a template from a book called NIST SP 800-171, Writing an Effective Plan of Action Milestone by Mark Russell. This template mainly covers the general description, purpose of Design World system, business objectives, security objectives, ISO 27001, and all the security controls from NIST SP 800-171, which there are access control, awareness training, audit and accountability, configuration management, identification and authentication, incident response, maintenance, media protection, personal security, physical protection, risk assessment, security assessment, system and communication protection, and lastly, system and information integrity. Our team chose this template because we received many good feedback when we used it for our previous class, Cyber by 10's project. This report was written in a way intended to explain the system requirement in a simple way for non-tech savvy people to understand. Additionally, the team included many tables to separate each section by colors to easily differentiate different categories.
Within this process, we conduct an initial vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment aims to provide a comprehensive systemic review of an information system security weaknesses. Why do we conduct vulnerability assessment? It was contracted within the scope of work. Also to identify specific vulnerabilities within the design world system and to establish a security baseline prior to additional work within the system itself. What tools do we use to accomplish this task? Primarily, we use Kali Linux 2022 as our operating system and tools native to that system, such as Nikto, Nmap, Wireshark, and Metasploit, along with Nessus Essentials and OpenBOS vulnerability scanners. Why do we choose these tools? One, they're readily available and they're easy to use to ensure delivery of a vulnerability assessment product that could be conducted by Design World's employees outside of the scope of work. Following the delivery of our initial vulnerability assessment report, we conducted initial penetration testing of the Design World system. A penetration test is security testing in which evaluators mimic real-world attacks in an attempt to identify ways to circumvent the system's security features. What we conducted was called a white box test. Due to the privileged information we had received about the Design World environment prior to the conduct of our test. Why do we conduct this kind of a test? To verify the vulnerabilities discovered during the vulnerability assessment, identify ways to exploit vulnerabilities present within the Design World Cloud network, and to attempt to defeat the security features currently in place within the system. What tools do we use to accomplish this task? All the tools previously stated from the vulnerability assessment, along with Social Engineering Toolkit, SQL Map, Burp Suite, and Hashcat. While we were unable to successfully compromise the Design World environment, we were able to identify and confirm several vulnerabilities present within the Design World environment and extract a significant amount of information about the system itself.
System hardening and PCR plan. After reviewing the initial vulnerability assessment and penetration testing reports, USD CyberCloud Team 1 developed a plan to secure the Design World Cloud Network environment and all their connected assets. System hardening is a crucial step when assessing and developing the security of a client's network environment. The focus of USD CyberCloud Team 1's system hardening plan was to take care of any high or medium level vulnerabilities or other significant threats discovered during the initial vulnerability scans and penetration testing attempts. In addition to the system hardening plan, the team created project change requests forms for each device belonging to Design World. The PCR is a standard method used in the change management process to ensure that all required parties are aware and approve of a change to a system, device, or process. For the hardening plan and PCR forms, the team chose formatting to convey the recommended hardening processes. Specifically, the PCR forms were based on online change management forms from ITIL and Project Manager. System hardening. A system hardening report records the steps taken to secure a network and specific devices, any additional issues that may have come up during, and the overall result of the hardening process. USD CyberCloud Team 1 used several methods throughout hardening Design World's network devices, including policy modifications, password changes, firewall rule additions, etc. The team also used some tools to aid in this process, including StigViewer version 2.17, SCAP Compliance Checker version 1.3, and IIS Crypto version 3.2. It should be noted that throughout the hardening process, the lab environment experienced several issues starting with network connectivity and leading to a lack of access to the domain controller. These problems affected the team's ability to complete certain aspects of the hardening process and hindered the capability to fully secure all the devices. Hardening tools. The Security Technical Implementation Guideline Viewer and the Security Content Automation Protocol Compliance Checker are tools available from the Defense Information Systems Agency, or DISA. STIGs are sets of standards that consist of security requirements and are based on Department of Defense requirements and NIST Special Publication 800-171 and -53 security controls. There are currently over 400 standards available, each tailored to security requirements and known vulnerabilities of specific products, including operating systems, web browsers, antivirus software, Microsoft Office programs, and Adobe software. SCAP Compliance Checker uses standards that match the currently available STIGs. It scans the device it is installed on to check for compliance with the standards it is loaded with. The results of these scans can then be transferred to STIG Viewer for the user to create checklists to secure that system. These tools were chosen as they are trusted industry standards that are regularly maintained, free to use, and are meant to help bring the target in compliance with NIST Special Publication 800-171 and NIST Special Publication 800-53, which was the primary requirement from the project client, Design World. Internet Information Services Crypto is a free-to-use tool available from the company Nartac Software. It allows the user to configure a Windows machine's protocols, ciphers, hashes, and key exchange algorithms all in one place. IIS Crypto updates the machine's registry with the selected settings, enabling or disabling them to reflect the desired configuration. Additionally, it updates the cipher suite order in the group policy editor to match the order set in the registry file. IIS Crypto was chosen to handle the Suite 32 vulnerabilities that were discovered on all Design World Windows 10 machines during initial vulnerability and penetration testing. This alert was present because those assets had been configured to accept deprecated forms of encryption. Using the IIS Crypto tool, USD CyberCloud Team 1 ensured that all the Windows 10 machines were configured to the same settings and that no encryption-related policies or settings were overlooked.
Following the system hardening phase, we conducted a post-hardening vulnerability assessment to assess the effectiveness of Design World system hardening implementations and identify any remaining vulnerabilities. What tools do we use to accomplish this? Kali Linux tools such as Nmap, Nikto, Wireshark, and Metasploit. We employed Nessus Expert versus Nessus Essentials, and we dropped OpenVAS, SQL Map, and Burp Suite from our toolset due to the lack of information and viability that we found using those tools in the testing. Results of the post-hardening vulnerability assessment, we discovered that many of the vulnerabilities discovered by Nessus Expert were addressed during system hardening. Some of the high and medium severity vulnerabilities could not be addressed due to the loss of access to the domain controller. There was a significant difference in findings between the initial and post-hardening vulnerability assessments. In addition to the post-hardening vulnerability assessment, we conducted a post-hardening penetration test of the Design World system. We employed the same methodology as the initial penetration test. This was to confirm our hardening efforts, and it did reveal the mitigation of a large portion of the vulnerabilities discovered with the Design World network. It was significantly more difficult to obtain information or exploit the Design World network following security hardening steps.
Real-world WISP project. An opportunity arose this semester where 2 members from Group 1 were contracted to work on a written information security plan, otherwise known as WISP, for an accounting firm in Minnesota. This gave an opportunity to take the concepts learned in the USD MS-CSE program and apply them in the real world. Under the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, or otherwise known as GLBA, tax and accounting professionals are considered financial institutions, regardless of size. Because of this particular accounting firm wanted to create a WISP to comply with the mandates set by the GLBA and the Federal Trade Commission. From the article, Creating a Written Information Security Plan, WISP, for your tax and accounting practice by Security Summit through a partnership with the IRS, they noted that a WISP should designate one or more employees to coordinate its information security plan, identify and assess the risks to customer information in each relevant area of the company's operation, and evaluate the effectiveness of the current safeguards for controlling these risks. It should design and implement a safeguards program and regularly monitor and test it. Select service providers that can maintain appropriate safeguards by ensuring your contact requires them to maintain safeguards and oversee their handling of customer information. Evaluate and adjust the program considering relevant circumstances, including changes in the firm's business or operations, or the results of security testing and monitoring. Real-world WISP project lessons learned. From working on the WISP project, we learned that cost is the number one factor in consideration for a lot of these firms. They want to know that they're getting their return on investment for all these safeguards they're implementing. Additionally, they want to know that they're compliant. By doing the information system security plan, they want to know they're compliant with not only local, but federal, state, and even international regulations. Additionally, we learned that for a lot of these companies, the availability and longevity is critical. So to have that 24/7 uptime and to be able to use the certain hardware and software for a long time is very important. Thought process on choosing security objectives. When USD CCT1 chose the security objectives, these were security objectives chosen that aligned with DW's goals of preserving the CIA triad in a 100% cloud environment. By doing this, these security objectives fell in line with the organizational objectives, such as delivering products on time, maintaining operational capability of software and systems, and the ISSP aiding in the company in achieving compliance. And this compliant ultimately are objects such as the NIST SP 800-171 compliance, CMMC, ISO 27001 certification, and more. Why these policies? So we added many policies to the final ISSP, but we wanted to highlight 4 of the core ones that we've outlined for design rule. The first one is the bring your own device policy. Bring your own device may be a win-win for the employer and the employee, but for the IT department, it generally creates a security nightmare. With the BYOD policy, it applies structure for security and data usage by mandating features such as multi-factor authentication, PIN, biometric, and strong encryption. Next up, we have the acceptable use policy, or the AUP. The AUP is essential because it gives a guideline for your business to protect itself from lawsuits. This policy helps shield businesses against legal action, for instance, because of an employee's negligent internet actions. The access control policy is another popular one, and it helps define and determine the allowed activities of legitimate users, mediating every attempt by a user to access a resource in a system. Lastly, we wanted to highlight the Cybersecurity Incident Response Policy, which is critical to protect your data, protect your reputation, and to protect your revenue, and ultimately shows your employees and your staff what to do in case of a cybersecurity incident.